With the scales of justice on the line, let's bring in Norm Eisen, founder and executive chair of Democracy Defenders. He also represents David Hearn, the Olympian, at the center of the Reflecting Pool case that was previously dropped. But now, who knows? We're going to talk about that. Michael Feinberg is an MS Now national security and intelligence analyst and former assistant special agent in charge for the FBI, and MS Now's senior legal reporter, Lisa Rubin. It is good to see you all. Norm, my understanding is special grand juries are unique because, as I noted, they can release a report. They can name names at the end of an investigation, even if they don't find enough evidence to indict someone in the court of law. Is that the tell here in terms of what it is they are up to?
Well, the thing we know, Alicia, is that regular grand juries and judges alike have rebuffed the Trump administration. It's happened again and again with AG Tish James, first time around with former FBI Director Jim Comey, and most recently, a judge in the D.C. Superior Court dismissed a case against my client, Davy Hearn. In part, it's because of admissions that we forced out of the U.S. Attorney's Office. We filed no fewer than 7 motions and other filings pointing out that Davy Hearn was innocent. We compelled Jean Pirro to admit that the reflecting pool damage was not the result of anything Davy did. It was, in her own words, a botched, rushed installation. So now, in what appears to be a desperation move, and we don't know what the special grand jury will be about. It could have nothing to do with the reflecting pool whatsoever. Jean Pirro appears to be currying favor with the president on his revenge tour. But whether it's a regular or special grand jury or a petty jury or a judge, jury of one's peers, the rule of law system is rejecting this, and myself and my colleagues at Democracy Defenders Fund, we already have over 300 legal cases and matters. We'll do as many as it takes to stop this kind of authoritarian pandering.
I wonder when you sleep, Norm Eisen, perhaps you do not. Lisa, the Post reports that this is all being overseen by a man named Steven van der Velden, who, is my understanding, Jeanine Pirro has leaned on quite a bit during her time in this post. Tell us about him.
Well, Mr. van der Velden is most notable for his 34 years of service in the Westchester County District Attorney's Office here in New York. Mm-hmm. That, of course, is where Jeanine Pirro really cut her teeth as the elected Westchester County DA. What he is not is an experienced former federal prosecutor or a federal prosecutor at all. This is his first tour of duty in a federal prosecutorial office. After leaving the Westchester County DA's office, Mr. van der Velden also has some professional experience as a dance photographer. That's not to mock him. Mm-hmm. Many of us contain multitudes. But it is to point out that his resume doesn't contain the thing that you would want most for someone overseeing a special grand jury in the District of D.C., a federal court with many experienced judges who themselves are former federal prosecutors. He's not somebody who historically has that DOJ experience you would want in a special grand jury context. And I want to point out something else, Alicia. A special grand jury can issue a report by statute and by federal law specifically, but it can only submit to the court a report in special circumstances. It's not in every case. And that's with respect to, and I just want to read from the statute, non-criminal misconduct, malfeasance, or misfeasance in office involving organized criminal activity by someone who is currently a public officer or employee, to the extent that you want to have a recommendation for the removal from office or a disciplinary action. That means that perhaps, not necessarily, but perhaps the reason for impaneling a special grand jury here has something to do with the permitted subject matter of the report. If you're thinking backwards, why would Jeanine Pirro want a special grand jury? It might be in a circumstance where she can statutorily have that grand jury issue a report that might dirty somebody up that is otherwise unindictable. And you might want to look...
But that somebody would have to be a public person like a Jerome Powell.
Or that person would have to have non-criminal misconduct, misfeasance. It's not clear whether that malfeasance or non-criminal misconduct has to be in office or whether that phrase only respects misfeasance in office by someone. But again, the report can talk about something that someone has done that is less than meeting the threshold for criminality. And again, thinking about why would you want a special grand jury? It may be because you already understand that you're not going to be able to meet the threshold for indicting someone, but you want the public to know that that person has done something that we would consider in a broader sense wrong. I would argue to you that is not the proper purpose of a special grand jury, but I would also submit to you, based on evidence of how this Department of Justice has behaved, it's not beyond what they have done in prior situations or how they think necessarily.
Michael Feinberg, just again, day 3 here. Yet this push to go after Trump's enemies, protect him, his allies at the same time only seems to be accelerating. I was reading a piece today by a historian that says this is a form of autocracy where the rule of law is re-engineered to protect the leader. What is the risk for all of us when that happens?
The risk is functionally that individuals like Jim Comey or Lisa Cook or Letitia James or Jerome Powell or Don Lemon or the Broadview Six can currently be experiencing something that is going to drip down to the general populace. And we've already seen this with Norm's client, Davy Hearn. This is just a run-of-the-mill average Joe citizen who did nothing wrong except happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time when the federal government needed a scapegoat in order to carry out the president's wishes. And normally, there would be enough of an institutional culture or respect for democratic and constitutional norms at DOJ that would get batted down almost instantly, even if not publicly. But so many good people have left and so many bad people have replaced them. I will mock where Lisa wouldn't. While I give her credit for being the first person probably in history to quote Whitman in defense of a Trump administration official, this guy could contain all the multitudes in the world, but he hasn't been a federal prosecutor before. He is not a regular employee of the DC U.S. Attorney's Office. And we have seen nothing to show that he is qualified to be embarking upon some of the things that a special grand jury can be doing. And as we've seen with Norm's client, it's no longer enough to be a public figure for Trump to go after you. He's willing to go after anybody. So if those boundaries don't exist, preventing him from directing prosecutions, every citizen of America should be afraid.
Let's talk, Norm Eisen, about Davy Hearn. What is your understanding? Have you heard anything from DOJ? Do you have an understanding of what it is they are considering or pursuing?
Just what we are reading in the public reporting. I assume that individuals within DOJ who are alarmed at the abuse of the criminal justice system and at the White House demanding that an innocent man who was exonerated by the Trump administration, Jeanine Pirro admitting what we had proved in motion after motion. Davy Hearn did not damage the reflecting pool. It was the result of a botched, rushed installation. And now the White House reportedly demanding DOJ take another look. There's nothing to look at. And as Michael said, Davy Hearn can be targeted this way. You or I or Michael or Lisa or any American who happens to be in the wrong place at the wrong time can be targeted. That is the danger with an autocratic regime, and the safeguards have been torn down. And to have this unqualified individual that has been brought over from Westchester County to do this, a special grand jury, it's wrong. And every American should be alarmed about it. They will not bully Davy Hearn. He understands this is not just about him. It's about our democracy. And whether the special grand jury is about him or not, I tend to doubt it's about the reflecting pool. But whatever it's about, ourselves and the entire democracy movement and a mobilized nation are standing against this. We like democracy and the rule of law in this country, not authoritarianism.
Norm, can I ask you, though, do you think the judge in this case made a mistake by not dismissing with prejudice? Like, would we still be here talking about this? Couldn't this have been settled a few days ago?
Well, the judge dismissed the case and has ordered briefing. Should it be with prejudice, which would mean the case can never be brought back? Certainly everything we've seen, including the president's social media, goes to that question, because you're supposed to dismiss with prejudice when there's a risk of repeated harassment and bad faith. We're seeing that. So we're respectfully petitioning the court to dismiss with prejudice. He's ordered briefing on that. So that question is still open. We're hopeful that he will do it, because every day brings more evidence of this abuse of the criminal justice system to target average Americans. It's harassment. It's wrong. Davy Hearn is innocent. And an innocent person should not have to be dragged through the process a second time, Alicia. You know, for this administration, it appears the process is the punishment. And that's just wrong. It's not America.